Good evening. This is Weekdays with Wendy. I'm reading to you from the Love Your Neighbor, No Exceptions calendar. Today's reading is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10. Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." Now, of course, this is one of the foundational scriptures for our annual theme, Love Your Neighbor, No Exceptions. It comes from the Good Samaritan story when an expert in the law, a religious lawyer, someone who studied the law of God, came to Jesus and asked him, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said, "Well, you are an expert of the law. What does it say to you?" And the man replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you shall live." But the lawyer, the expert in religious law, said, "But who is my neighbor?" And so Jesus told him the story of the Good Samaritan, about a man who was wounded on the road, and a priest saw him and passed by, a Levite saw him and passed by, and then a Samaritan saw him and helped him bind up his wounds, cared for him, took him to an inn, paid the innkeeper to care for him until he returned. And then at the end of the story, Jesus asked the man, "So who proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" And the expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." And that's when Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." So here the story starts off with the expert of the law asking Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" But Jesus gives an answer to tell him it's not about who is your neighbor. You are to be the neighbor. And sometimes we have that question, who are the people that I need to love? Who is my neighbor? When the question really should be about how can I be a neighbor to anyone I encounter? When you look at the Good Samaritan, you see a couple important things. After Jesus tells the story of the priest and then the Levite passing by the wounded man, he continued the story and said, "But a Samaritan, while on his journey, came upon the man, saw him, and had compassion, and went to him," and then cared for his wounds. And so the first thing is that the Samaritan doesn't seem to question whether or not this is someone he should help. It says that he saw him and had compassion. We don't need to waste time asking ourselves, who are the people we need to love? We need to put ourselves, how can I be a better neighbor? How can I show mercy to people? But the second thing is that the Samaritan encountered the man as he journeyed. He wasn't out looking for people to help, but he encountered one. And when he encountered this person in need of help, he helped him. Sometimes we try to create or plan for times when we can go and help someone, and we can miss the people right in our path. As we journey along and encounter people in need of help, we're called to show mercy. And so, as you continue through this week, when you encounter people in need of mercy, in need of God's love, stop and see them, have compassion, and go to them. Have a great night.